Juvenal, whose full name was Decimus Junius Juvenalis, was an incredibly powerful Roman satiric poet. Although his exact birth and death dates are unknown, it is estimated that he lived from 55 CE to 127 CE. The estimated location of Juvenal's birth was Aquino, located in the Midwest of Italy near the Roman road Via Latina. Very little is known about Juvenal's life beyond his satirical work. He is only ever mentioned once at the end of a poem written to him by a friend named Martial. Scholars do believe that he was born or adopted into a prosperous Roman family. It was assumed that he never had a patron to support him and therefore had to become independently wealthy. However, it seemed as if he were sometimes poor and depending on the charity of the rich. During the time of Juvenal, Rome was an ever-expanding empire ruled by fear, greed, and tyranny, and laws were based on an early form of Greek democracy. Due to constant quests of conquest, large regions of the world were under the Roman Empire, including sections of England, Spain, Africa, and Syria. In fact, for every 4 people, one lived and died under Roman law. Through the year of 68 to 69 CE, after the forced suicide of the disdained Julio-Claudian Roman Emperor Nero, 4 highly ranked men, including Galba of Spain, Otho, Vitellius of Germany, and Vespasian, declared themselves emperor. Each came with his own army and public support. Their fight over the emperorship resulted in a socially, politically, and militarily chaotic year for the citizens and people under the Roman rule, as well as the eventual accession of Vespasian. The discourse accumulated into civil upheaval. After Vespasian's rule, a man named Titus became emperor. When Titus descended the throne in 79 AD and died in 81 AD, Domitian, Titus's brother, hurried to Praetorian camp and proclaimed himself the new emperor. The Senate confirmed his position soon after. During Domitian's rule, he was adamant on becoming a conqueror. He raised the army from 300 to 400 sesterces, thus lowering the income of each soldier. Domitian preferred to be addressed as Dominus et Deus, or Master and God. Then he proclaimed himself perpetual dictator, which allowed him unlimited power. Domitian assassinated those who opposed him, and slowly the Roman citizens began to fear him. In 96 AD, the tyrannical ruler was finally removed from his position. Juvenal often wrote of Domitian in his satires because he once served under the ruler as a soldier and failed to be promoted. During this period, social rank, citizenship, property, and family wealth defined the lifestyle of a Roman citizen. There are drastic differences between classes. Leading the social hierarchy was the perpetual emperor, usually a man from a patrician family. As rank lowers, so do the rights of the individual. A woman was viewed merely as male property, and so were slaves. Even freedmen did not enjoy the same rights as the common men. In his poems, Juvenal often expressed his disdain and dislike towards those of social deviance. The genre of verse satires originally came from the work of Gaius Lucilius, an ancient Roman author of the late BCE. Lucilius was a master of the dissection and analyzation of the Roman society and humanity itself through the brutal ways of humor. Although very little of his work exists, it became the inspiration for the future generations of genius poets such as Horace, Persius, and Juvenal, all equated to the ancient Roman version of a truth-seeking journalist. In fact, there is now a form of literature referred to as Juvenalian satire. Juvenal's surviving works consist of 16 numbered satirical verse poems within 5 books, focusing on the corruption of the city of Rome and the brutality of humankind. His literature mocked and attacked parts of the Roman culture, including the indecencies of current rulers, social classes, and the lifestyles of gossiping women, social deviants, and homosexuals. He broadly discusses his view of a moral life. Although Juvenal was no historian, we can gather an idea of life in the Roman Empire under rulers like Domitian and the general attitude towards social and moral matters from his 16-verse satires. Of all of the 16-verse satires, Satura number 3 is by far the most well-known. Written around 110 CE, the poem told the story of a friend, Umbricius, who wants to travel from his home of Rome to meet Juvenal in Cumaea. He claims that his reason for migration is the demoralization and overpopulation of Rome. He believes that Rome has been overrun by Greek and Syrian immigrants who will stop at nothing, including lying and stealing, in order to take jobs away from natural citizens. The streets have become noisy and crowded, and an honest man can no longer use his hard work to lift himself through the social ranks as it was in the time of the Republic. Juvenal concludes that Rome was becoming corrupt. Juvenal's works were not revived until the 4th century. The first author to quote Juvenal was a Christian propagandist, Tertullian. They became especially popular during the Middle Ages, when people began reading works by Latin authors. His influence continued after the Renaissance, when many famous authors referred to him, including Shakespeare, Nicholas Boileau, John Dryden, and Alexander Pope, who was inspired by Juvenalian satire. The mechanical component of Juvenal's writing is very rhythmic, written in dactylic hexameter. The actual statements in his poems are very forceful, direct, and to the point. Juvenal's descriptions are often vivid and creates clear images in the reader's mind using metaphorical writing and comparisons. Juvenal's satires contain many memorable quotes and phrases, including bread and circuses, which means that these are all that the common people are interested in, rare bird, which is referring to a perfect wife, and the phrase, who will guard the guardians themselves. His 10th satire, which discusses the aspirations of mankind, including wealth, long life, and personal beauty, shows that they all lead to disappointment or danger. What mankind should pray for is a sound mind and a sound body.